All right, welcome, welcome, welcome. What are we going to call this one, Jake? Since we're coming on at 11,
The
call it
DFS
the
process
process
show.
plus the process show. We'll call it the process show. It doesn't really matter. I'm Dave Locker, and that's Jake Harry. Uh, Jake, I guess hurricanes aren't the only thing that have kept us from streaming this week and last week. It's just been a whirlwind of technical issues, and your power went out today out of nowhere, and your smoke alarms started sounding off as well.
Yeah, it was an eventful morning. Uh, so that was fun, but glad to be here now and have power. And my laptop needed a restart anyways, so or I guess my desktop. But yeah, I was able to get some internet, get some things done with the personal hotspot on the phone, so that was fine. But
Ah,
uh,
there it is.
yeah, wouldn't have been able to stream with that. That's for sure using a laptop because we've already been through
Did
that
you?
one before.
Yeah. Did you ever find out why everything started going haywire?
I mean, it's raining here, but it's just like it was like lightly raining and it went out right away. So I just figured it was um, some just city outage. And then I was like, well, wait, did I like pay the bill or whatever? And I looked online and I was paid and then I contacted them and they were like, yeah, it should be on before 11:45 Eastern. So came on shortly after
Good.
that, but yeah, it
Well,
was eventful. Just what a good way to start off the day, right?
well, we're good now. That's all that matters, and we got plenty of time. No shortage of time. That's the good thing about doing this in the morning. All right, why don't we just jump right into it? We got a lot of games on this slate, a whole lot to talk about. So we'll try to be expedient to some extent. 14 games here, Jake, uh, and a whole lot of good pitching. I think before we even get into these games, how are you looking at roster construction early on? Is there any certain build when you go to crunch? Are there any guys you're locking in or setting exposure higher to just out of the gate?
Yeah, I think I really want. I think it makes sense to like pick a couple of these top 5 or 6 pitchers and go really heavy on them, because there's going to be guys that score 30 plus. Like looking at our ownership projections, we've got Kluber up top, like the highest owned. I think that's pretty much a lock that he's going to be the highest owned pitcher of the slate. Then Strasburg, and I don't really like those two guys all that much. I like Nola where he's at. I like Snell a ton where he's at. If he's going to be unowned, anytime he's unowned, like just sign me up for that. And you're getting a discount on him. I know it's bad weather in Texas for pitching, but it doesn't really matter if you miss bats. And then I think people are going to pair those type of guys with Bundy and Sanchez, which I think I agree with. Aaron Sanchez, that is. I think I agree with that build. So I'm probably going to be pretty chalky at pitching today and differentiate with bats, which I'm more than happy to do.
All right. Yeah. I'll tell you what, like yesterday, Blake Snell, I had a decent, or not Blake Snell, I had a decent amount of Glass now just because you figured that he would be pretty unpopular because, as you mentioned, no one likes playing pitchers at Globe Life. But the truth is, that's a Texas team that does strike out a lot. Like, and they don't have a ton of speed. They got a few guys that run, but not a ton. And a lot of old guys on this team. This is a Rangers squad that, at Texas, if you are willing to play a pitcher against them, a decent pitcher against them, it can be rewarding. It can pay off. And, the thing with Blake Snell is he is still very expensive, unlike Glass now. But put it this way, Glass now was the pivot to Arrieta yesterday. I think Blake Snell can be used as a pivot to a lot of these guys up at the top. So let's just jump into it. We got Baltimore and Toronto, Dylan Bundy and Aaron Sanchez. Looks like we're going to have some more weather just across the board again today in the Northeast. Right now at Camden Yards, it's looking like we should be good. It looked worse early on, but now it looks like we should clear. So I guess Aaron Sanchez coming off of 2 solid games, 2 of his best games of the season, as you put it, probably should be chalk down there at 5,900.
Yeah, and I think he will be chalkier as the day goes on, just because people love targeting against Baltimore. Bunch of righties, and especially with the right-handed pitcher like Sanchez that's cheap and coming off a really good start against Boston, which is really tough to do. I think he went 7 innings, struck out 6. It just makes so much sense at this price, especially when you've got all these guys up at the top that you want to pay for. So I agree with Sanchez. I think we have him right now at 1%. That's not going to stick. He's going to be double digits, I think, for sure. So keep an eye on that. If for some reason he's sitting at 6% before lock, then I'm going to have a ton of him just because he's looked so much better. I mean, what are you doing with Sanchez? Like, do you kind of buy into him being a better pitcher now after these last couple starts?
The thing is, Sanchez was never particularly bad before. You know, actually, that's totally not true. This season, Sanchez had been bad, but he shouldn't have been. I should rephrase. Sanchez should not have been as bad as he was, right? Like, I think that's a fair statement to make. Sanchez did not look good. He had really struggled, particularly against lefties, but he wasn't giving up a lot of power. That was the one thing that stood out. The guy still wasn't allowing a lot of power, and it was just the walk rate against lefties was brutal. And then you start to see, you know, things change a little bit, and he's just been more efficient, which is a huge deal when you're talking about a cheap pitcher like this that was struggling to get through even 5 innings. He's still walking guys, right? He's still walked, 5 over his last 2? But the strikeouts are there to kind of mitigate those problems. And believe it or not, even with those walks, his pitch counts have been down. So, you know, he hasn't thrown 100 pitches in either game, 98, 91, gone 6 and 7 innings. If he's gonna walk batters, we just hope that he's not giving up the hits, and that's what it comes down to. Because even against Tampa, he gave up 2 home runs, but he was still oddly efficient. And then looking at his pitch mix here, the one thing that you would note, his curveball usage over his last 2 games was the highest usage of the season. And if that is the case, you see the curveball usage is way up. Just trying to see what his whiffs per swing on this was, see what his whiff rate was. Let's see, on the curveball, 33 and 43%. So that is kind of encouraging, and I'd be curious to see against lefties too. Against lefties, he's getting the whiffs, and then he's using the pitch over the last 2 games around 23% of the time. So that could be making a pretty significant difference. You know, you're looking at way high usage than we've seen on the season. He's only throwing the pitch 10%, 12% of the time. And now you see the pitch usage, he's throwing 11% of the time. So that might be making a big difference if he's actually getting swings and misses, which he is. And I like that. I like knowing that there's something about a pitcher that